What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I want to talk about a bunch of different things. One, we're going to talk about a possible 4-day work week that progressives are pushing. We're going to address the stimulus package, give you an update on that. I want to talk about inflation news that will be coming out tomorrow. We got reports on that, and I want to break that down, what is currently being said and what we should potentially worry about moving forward. We're also going to address the vote that happened today where the Senate did pass a bill or a procedural vote for, pretty much on the debt ceiling. That could happen later on today as well. And there's more news I want to bring to you at the end of this video. First off, thank you guys for always supporting the channel. Always hitting that like button. It really does help out the video. Now, here's what's going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a huge day. And here's the reason why. Tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the CPI report comes out. This could be huge. The expectations are we're going to see about a 6.8% annualized inflation rate. That's going to be big. Here's the reason why. For the longest time, the Federal Reserve and some lawmakers have been saying that inflation is just temporary. We are going to get through this. It's no big deal. It is transitory. Well, we're going to see tomorrow, but the expectation is going to be much higher than what it is currently. We're at 6.2% and we could jump to 6.8. Some are even predicting we will be at 6.9%. That will be huge in a 1 month span. Okay? In 1 month, we go from 6.2 up to 6.9. There's nothing deflationary about that. So it's going to be a big day, and tomorrow is going to dictate what the Federal Reserve does. It's going to definitely impact the stock market. We already saw stocks today. It was a bloodbath out there. Almost everything was red. So if you're an investor, you're probably thinking, oh, get out, sell, right? No. This is the time to buy. When we are seeing fear and panic, that's the time to buy. Remember back in March 2020, when everything just completely dropped because of the lockdown, shutdowns, and COVID, if you would have bought then, you'd be making bank right now. A lot of money. So you buy when there's fear. Also, what we see tomorrow is going to be a strong sign whether or not we see the Build Back Better Act passed this year or potentially just kick to 2022. It's also going to give states a better idea as to how much more help they need to provide their residents. And I addressed this earlier on today, that there are some states that are considering a grocery tax pretty much removal. Get rid of the grocery tax. Utah is considering giving a grocery tax credit to their residents so that they can afford groceries. So this is a big thing as well. But let's address these questions. How is this going to impact the stock market? Well, everything impacts the stock market. So I'm not going to get into that that in this video, because I know a lot of people are very concerned about investing in times like this. I completely understand. But if we see more inflation, right? And again, based off of expectations of 6.8%, this could be a pretty good day for certain stocks. Okay? We also know there's new COVID news that's out, so I'll address that at the end of this video, and that's going to play a big part as to what we see tomorrow as well. So again, I'm not going to jump the gun and tell you to start buying, but just understand tomorrow is going to be a big day for the stock market. As for the Federal Reserve is pretty much waiting. They are going to taper. There will be less money that they introduce into the market, into our economy, and that's going to be. It's already impacting the stock market. It's already impacting our economy. It's impacting every single person here. But here's something I want you to understand, is if we see really high inflation, here's the problem. If we see inflation go up rapidly, what could happen is the Federal Reserve could decide to taper quicker. And as the Federal Reserve decides to taper faster, what's going to happen is the expectation of when they raise interest rates, that kind of start date is going to keep coming sooner and sooner and sooner. And that's what's really impacting everything. So we're going to see what happens there. Now, how can this impact the Build Back Better Act? Here's what I can tell you. Right now, according to multiple reports, Senator Joe Manchin is already struggling to support the Build Back Better Act because he's worried about inflation. And this just gives him one more data point to use and say, you know what? Look at this number here. We've been saying that inflation's transitory. We've been saying that this is going to help. The Build Back Better Act is going to help. It's going to provide more benefits, and it's going to cost, or it's going to make it where there's more money in the American people's pockets after we pass this bill. But I don't see that happening. So that's just giving him another point to say, hey, look at that. And so right now, if this comes in at 6.8% or even higher, even at 6.6, 6.5, unless we see it go down into the fives, which honestly, I don't see it happening at all, especially right now. But until we see it go back down, Senator Joe Manchin is going to keep holding out. So we're going to see what happens there. Now, as far as states do want to give more money to their residents because they understand how it comes right back to the state. States have a lot of money. They have a surplus of cash. And so they're willing to provide additional benefits. And if you didn't get a chance to go and watch the video I did this morning, go and watch that. That's going to tell you right now what states are providing what we could potentially look forward to. And again, if you have questions, you can always ask your questions down in the comment section below. Now, Senator Joe Manchin has been saying for a little while that he doesn't currently support the Build Back Better Act because he feels it's going to increase inflation. However, he also stated today that he will support the Senate parliamentarian. Now, the reason I bring this up is because the Senate parliamentarian, according to Democrats, is going to knock out certain pieces of this bill. Immigration, that is most likely going to be out. Okay? And there's other things that are going to be in there as well. But according to Senator Joe Manchin, he says, and I quote, "The bottom line is the parliamentarian, you stick with the parliamentarian. That's all. You stick on every issue. You can't pick and choose." So what I can tell you right now is he's going to stick with the parliamentarian no matter what she says. And that's going to hurt Democrats' chances of getting everything they want into this current bill. So we'll see what happens there. Something President Biden did say today is that this is the fastest we have seen the American people shift from government assistance going back to earning their own weekly paycheck. But when saying this, he also stated that the incoming inflation read will look far worse than it really is. So, again, many expect it's going to be 6.8%, but it could also look much worse. Now, tomorrow morning when I put up that video, I will be up for when the inflation report comes out, and I will do a deep dive on that, address kind of what's going on, where we're seeing increases across the board, if we're going to be seeing much moving forward. I will address all that tomorrow. Okay, but just understand what happens tomorrow is going to dictate probably what happens for the rest of this year. Okay, we could also see lawmakers go on recess very soon because what happens tomorrow could dictate what happens right around Christmas time and whether we see a vote. So I will address that tomorrow morning. Here's something else that I want to address, and this is probably something that you haven't heard much about, as it has been buried in the news for the past few weeks. But progressives have actually been gaining support for a bill. Now, there was an idea floated around, I think like June, July of this past year, where progressives were pushing for a 32-hour work week. Well, that's actually been gaining a lot of support. And this new bill is called the 32-Hour Work Week Act. Currently, more than 100 legislators are now supportive of this, and the list keeps growing. According to progressives, the shortened work weeks have been extremely beneficial in other countries, and many workers say that they are much happier because of their shortened schedules. But there's also problems with this bill and its timing. Currently, we are experiencing worker shortages, we got supply chain issues, and many experts worry that this would actually create less productivity in the workplace over the week. During the day, yes, it would be great. They'd be more productive, probably fresher. Come, Wednesday, Thursday, they're going to get more done, based on the average day. However, here's the issue. You're cutting one day off. If you go from 40 hours per week down to 32, here's the problem. You have to be as efficient, as effective, and get 40 hours of work done in that 32-hour week, or else it actually doesn't work. And on that same side, or really on the flip side of that, stress would be down, people would be happier, and that's great. But the other issue is that lawmakers are saying that right now, one of the big aspects of this 32-hour work week, and the reason why they can't really move forward with it, is because of schools. If schools were to change and go to mostly 5 days per week, until schools move to that four-day schedule, work weeks are most likely going to stay the exact same. Your weekend's not going to start on Fridays. But that brings up the question, will schools consider moving to just 4 days per week and extend their hours? Because this has been considered by multiple states, and it's still very possible. But let me ask you this. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Would you rather have a 4-day work week and have 3 days off? Or would you rather stick to that 5-day work week and have just 2 days off? And keep in mind that a 32-hour work week, just 4 days per week, the problem is instead of getting paid for 40 hours, you're only getting paid for 32. So this would have to mean that businesses would have to pay a little bit more to get somebody to work less hours. That's going to be a struggle. That will be a big struggle because it's a pretty substantial pay increase. But we'll see what happens, because I addressed this earlier, it was probably earlier on last month, how some businesses were seeing that if they hired people on for just 20 hours per week, they saw more results. They saw people come in faster. People accepted the jobs, and they didn't actually have to pay as much. But they came in as a part-time employee, not a full-time. So as we get more on that, I promise I'll fill you in on that update as well. Let's talk about the debt ceiling for a second. Today, the Senate passed a bill for a one-time exemption to the filibuster on raising the debt ceiling. It passed with a vote of 64 to 26, with 14 Republicans voting in favor of it. This also will prevent automatic cuts to Medicare. This bill, it could ultimately be voted on today for its final passing, but the good news is that it's going to pass. It's going to move forward. We're going to see the debt ceiling increased, and everything should be okay for at least about one more month. So we'll see what happens there. In more COVID news though, this is interesting. The CDC announced today that the booster shots are safe. Now, I think this is interesting because the CDC actually came out and said booster shots are safe, and we are now opening them up to 16 and 17-year-olds to get their booster shots as well. Now, when I first read that, I thought, okay, they've been pushing booster shots for a little while now. Then they come out today and say booster shots are safe. That was a little scary. Good thing I read a little bit further and said they are now opening up to 16 and 17-year-olds to get their boosters. They also say that the Omicron variant in many locations across the United States is causing this rapid they want to see the CDC quickly get to more boosters. Get people, 11, 12, 13, right? Get them all to have a booster shot. Because right now they say it is essential to get all booster shots as soon as possible. They also stated that this will most likely not be the last booster shot that we receive. So more will be needed to fight off any future COVID variants. That's what we're expecting. Now, we are also hearing that Omicron is very much likely a cold in vaccinated individuals. Children will sometimes see spots on their bodies, but experts say that what they are hoping for right now is that this variant can overtake Delta and act more like a common cold moving forward. If that's the case, we could be in great shape. But again, that's just what they're hoping for. We also heard today that the Food and Drug Administration also authorized the first injectable monoclonal antibody cocktail and that is AstraZeneca's cocktail Evusheld, okay, or Eversheld. So right now, that is what we know regarding COVID, stimulus, the 32-hour work week or 4-day work week, and even the debt ceiling. If you have any questions whatsoever, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Again, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.